Now, the transformation for Doubledealer into his vehicle mode is not too bad. We're going to take these accessories off. The missile, the radar dish, the gun, the missile launchers here. And then we're going to take off this assembly that he has on his back, which is this gray piece right here. It simply tabs into this green, military green panel. And you just untab it from back here. You kind of have to wiggle it out. Don't pry it off, but just gently wiggle it out. Alright, and then you bring this to the side. Now, I never did watch the Godmaster Power Force, Master Godmaster anime from Japan. I did watch the Headmasters, though. I just never got around to watching the Godmaster Force series. But from what I understand, the Power Masters are actually human kids who have power bracelets or something like that that can turn into a Transformer, or they armor up like the Centurions in order to look like Transformers, even though they are still humans inside. So, I haven't watched that series, so I don't really have an opinion on it, but to me, the human side of the conflict never was a strong point, so I have this feeling that the Doubledealer depicted in that anime just might not be as good as the depiction of what the Earthrise Doubledealer might bring. Even the bio card, I think, would bring something else, because that means that it's not a Transformer, right? He's not really a thinking robot. Instead, he's a human who is in a robot body, and that, to me, is just not as cool as if it was just the personality of a robot. I bet you they will eventually make an Earthrise series on Netflix, the way that they did with Siege, and I bet you that the mercenary faction will have a large role to play in that Earthrise series. Maybe that Megatron hired a whole bunch of goons to go after the Autobots in a similar way to the way that Darth Vader calls on a bunch of bounty hunters in The Empire Strikes Back to go after Han Solo and the others on board the Millennium Falcon and bring them in. So basically what you're trying to do is tab these side panels into the thighs, and you're going to want to tab the two legs together in the truck mode down here, and then you'll have the legs all done. There are two areas where the tabs on the sides plug in. For the vehicle mode, you'll want to tab these into the teal thighs, but then when you turn them into beast mode, these will tab up higher onto the chest. Now, the only thing I really want to bring to your attention are the legs, because they're the areas that give you the most problem. It's not too bad from going to robot to vehicle, but when you're going from any of the other modes to the beast mode, that's where things can get really hairy and frustrating. So, since the rest of this is pretty easy to follow visually, I would like to read you a little poem. In the grayness and drizzle of one despondent dawn, unstirred by harbingers of sunbreak, a vulture, perching high on broken bone of a dead tree, nestled close to his mate, his smooth bashed-in head, a pebble on a stem rooted in the dump of gross feathers, inclined affectionately to hers. Yesterday they picked the eyes of a swollen corpse in a waterlogged trench and ate the things in its bowel. Full gorged they chose their roost, keeping the hollowed remnant in an easy range of cold telescopic eyes. Strange indeed how love in other ways so particular will pick a corner in that charnel house, tidy it, and coil up there, perhaps even fall asleep, her face turned to the wall. Thus the Commandant at Belsen camp, going home for the day with fumes of human roast clinging rebelliously to his hairy nostrils, will stop at the wayside sweet shop and pick up a chocolate for his tender offspring, waiting at home for Daddy's return. Praise bounteous Providence, if you will, that grants even an ogre a tiny glowworm tenderness encapsulated in icy caverns of a cruel heart, or else despair, for in every germ of that kindred love is lodged the perpetuity of evil. Thank you. Hold your applause. I just wanted to illustrate to you, this is a lengthy process, and I think that the complexity of this figure might have the tendency to turn off some collectors, and I totally understand. I do really dig the way that Doubledealer looks. The colors work for me, the black coloring works for me. This is such a huge, chunky guy, such a tough, brutish, overbearing guy. He reminds me a lot of Junkman from Mega Man 7 for Super Nintendo. Just a big old, meaty, huge-chested, chonky, stocky G1-esque robot. This junk, chunk, chugger, junk, chunker. This junk, chunker guy. Yeah. Once you're ready to add the assembly in the back, you're going to find another little area that might be tricky. So these posts will plug into these ports right behind the head, and they will get in there, but you kind of have to give it a bit of a squeeze, and you just make sure everything is just lining up. And it may feel like you're going to bend this out of the way, but it's okay. He can take it. So you just go for it. It'll lock in secure. It won't break the figure at all. And then you're nearly done. All that's left is to really add all the accessories back on. So you're going to want to put the missile back together. So again, this is an interesting weapon, right? It's a machine gun of some sort, some kind of blaster, but it's also the missile. So if you get rid of the missile, Doubledealer, what are you going to do to fight anymore? Anyway, you can mount the missile in several different configurations, which is nice. I'll show you that later. That can swing down like so, and then you'll want to add in all the other accessories. They can go pretty much anywhere. You can add the little gun turrets on up top of here. This is one of the ways I think that it's displayed in the promotional material, but again, it just anywhere you would like to attach these things, it's pretty much up to you. It's up to your imagination. The little missile launchers can plug in right up here, which would used to be where the hands would go. And then you're gonna just want to swing up the little I don't know what those things are. They're like little legs for the missile truck, and they will swing up, and they don't plug in anywhere. They just kind of swing up. And then the little folding ramp, which is compatible with any of the Micromaster bases, that can just swing up. But this has a tendency to pop out, so you want to be careful, as that tends to just fly right off. But there you go. That's pretty much the missile truck mode. And I have to say, this is a really fun and interesting vehicle. I think it's loads of visual fun, and all the wheels roll. And you can angle the missile, and it will hold its position there. It might have a tendency to droop over time as the plastic weakens. But you can also display it like this. And here's a little bit of a comparison with Spinister. Spin, you little guy. There you go. You have an idea of just how big the leader class size is. Again, I don't mind the size at all if it gives you more playability. I would rather have more playability than more millimeters, but that's just me. Maybe millimeters are a thing for you. Here's just a few more comparisons. Let's bring in Power Punch. This is where I got the idea that these guys are probably really good teams that could probably work together on a few missions. Don't you agree? I mean, just look at that. Yeah, there's nothing insecure about this imagery at all. Oh, here's another thing you can do with this. You can take the two Micromasters and plug them into the weapon ports up here, and you can do something like this, which I don't know what this is, but it looks cool. So there you go. And you're able to add blast effects onto the vehicle mode as well, so you can make it look like it's getting shot at or getting fired upon. And you can also add the little Powermaster buddies to this mode as well. And you can add the huge Omega Supreme blast effects to the missile as well to make it look as though this missile is blasting off and getting fired at a city or an incoming aerial Autobot. And I think that looks really sweet. Lower these little appendages here to give it the stability it needs, and it really looks like an awesome armored tank vehicle. An armored military vehicle is what I mean. Or you could make it look like it's hurtling forward really fast. There is actually a fourth mode that Doubledealer can assume, and it is basically moving this missile so that it looks like it's about to blast off from this location. Look, visual face right there. He's gleefully waiting for that missile to take off. But yes, so this kind of counts as a little mini base, sort of. It's actually a nice thing to look at visually, but I think this is a display most people probably are not going to use. But it's there, so it's an option that you can use if you'd like. I think it's okay. I think I would have preferred if they had found a way to make Doubledealer's head less visible, but it's much better than the original G1 Doubledealer where it had like Mickey Mouse ears. Anyway, the size isn't too bad when you compare it to a vehicle like Six Shot's tank mode. Six Shot is a really huge Titan's Return leader class size, and Doubledealer's miniaturized size is still pretty large in his vehicle mode, comparing very much to his original G1 counterpart size, which I do appreciate. You do get a little bit of leeway here in the vehicle mode versus the robot mode instead. And, of course, you can customize this vehicle by adding other little battle masters around the vehicle. So here's one of the teal target masters from Hotlink. And you can attach the power masters. Here's Skar, able to attach securely onto the side to go on little road trips with Doubledealer. And they can just all hang out together and reminisce old times that they used to go on mercenary trips. I wonder what these guys talk about with Doubledealer. Like, are they all part of the same team? I mean, Skar is a Decepticon Autobot. Knok is an Autobot. Are they all mercenaries? Or is it more like they aren't aware that they're being duped?